again, everybody. I'm Brian Kenny. It's trade deadline day. Things happening already, all through the morning. Big panel today. Anthony Recker, Russell Dorsey, longtime GM Rick Hahn. He's been through this day before many times, made some big deals. Rob Parker is in the showdown, and our insiders are standing by. They'll be dropping in throughout the show. Joel Sherman is up first. An update from Joel in a few minutes. We'll have the breaking news and the analysis. How good is the player? How high is the cost? And the cost can be high. Let's do a little digging in. The breaking news this morning, this is within the last hour. The Padres at it again. They loaded up for an elite bullpen last year. They get back at it today, making a deal with the Athletics to get Mason Miller. #1 strikeout rate in the game over the last 2 years for the A's, age 26 season. In our offseason series, top 10 right now, Miller was #5, according to the Shredder, among relief pitchers. I had him #1. That's how highly regarded he is. This year, a 3.76 ERA, but that's with one big blow-up. It skews it a bit. He's thrown shutout ball over his last 11 appearances. He's a game changer. It's Miller and starter J.P. Sears, who has a 4.95 ERA, going to San Diego. But to get them, the Padres give up the #1 prospect in their organization and the #3 prospect in all of baseball. Leo DeVries. This is a big move. DeVries, 18-year-old shortstop, now in high A ball. Good on base down there. Not much power, but he is the bluest of blue-chip prospects. The Padres churn out excellent players. GM A.J. Preller never afraid to use his prospect capital to help his major league club that very year. Let's take a closer look at Miller. He is super elite. Here are his percentiles. Kind of ridiculous, right? If you're 100th percentile, you're #1 or #2 in the entire league. And he is 99th or 100th percentile in everything. Basic velo, whiff percentage, overall strikeout percentage, expected batting average, 99th or 100th percentile. 26 in his prime, could be a starter in the future, but could be the #1 relief pitcher in the game right now. Again, he comes at a cost. Let's bring in the panel right now. Anthony Recker, Russell Dorsey is here. Rick Hahn, longtime GM for the Chicago White Sox, who has been through this before. Big-time players. Great to have you guys. It's going to be a busy day. Anthony, Russell, good to see you. Rick, tell me something here. Now, you got Yoan Moncada going back, who was the #1 prospect in the game in 2016. Tell me about the ramifications of this seismic level deal.
Well, look, first of all, hats off to both teams, because I think they both accomplished what they needed to here. A.J. Preller and the Padres have built what is likely going to be the most dominant, or the top 2 most dominant bullpens in the league. Both players, Sears, who solidifies that back end of that of the rotation, and Miller, multiple years of control, so this isn't just a one-off rental type deal. Oakland, however, was able to move 4 years of control of an elite reliever, a fantastic reliever, for premium up-the-middle talent. And when you're in a situation like theirs and you're building for the long term, no matter how good that reliever is, when you have a chance to get a guy like DeVries, you jump on it. So, again, both teams did well here, and understand the motivation for each.
When I saw DeVries, I went, oh, I thought that was untouchable. That's how highly regarded this kid is.
And we haven't seen prospects like these moved in the last couple of years. I mean, obviously, it's been a couple years since we've seen a top 100, just until a couple of days ago. So I think the fact that you're willing to move, an 18-year-old who, you said doesn't have much power, that's yet. I mean, this kid could still develop, and we have no idea what he could become. Obviously, very highly regarded throughout the game. I think, again, I like this move for both teams a lot. When I think about Mason Miller and his future trajectory, I actually think, well, is there anything stopping the Padres after this year from making him a starter? From putting him back into a starter role, increasing his value, seeing what you get out of him, at least trying it out. That's that's been in vogue the last few years, making those reliever starters again, seeing what happens. This kid did some great things as a starter in the minor leagues. Now, look, whether it works out or not, who knows? But you could see things going really well for Mason Miller as a Padre moving forward, depending on what happens.
It's a tremendous bullpen. I know if I'm trying to think about the only guy that I can regard as a guy where a hitter has no shot, Russell, is Skeens and Mason Miller, where at times, at their best, you go, well, that guy, I don't care if it's Judge, Soto, no shot. That's how good this guy is.
In a 1v1 matchup, hitter versus pitcher, give me the guy that throws 104 every time. And I think one thing the Padres learned last year where they put Suarez with Jason Adam and Tanner Scott and Jeremiah Estrada. They said, we are going to have the best back end, high leverage arms in baseball.
Yeah.
And in October, it did work until, it did in the Game 5 against the Dodgers, who ultimately ended up winning the World Series. But I think A.J. Preller looked at it and said, you know what, let's run that back.
Roll it back.
We did really well.
Wasn't the bullpen last year.
You know what I mean?
Right,
And so
right.
the other side I look at it when it comes to A.J. Preller, who has never seen a big move that he didn't like. You're talking about one of the best talent evaluators, possibly in Major League Baseball, who is saying, okay, I can find another Leo DeVries. I found James Wood. I found Jackson Merrill. I found C.J. Abrams. So if they're saying we know we can find another young guy that's eventually in 3-4 years going to be the #1 prospect in baseball, I can't find a Mason Miller right now.
Right. You draft and develop. I mean, it is always a question. I mean, every time we did anything on, hey, Wilyer Abreu is emerging. It's like he came over in a trade for a relief pitcher. You can get a guy for club control for 6 years. But it's a good point on Miller. My last thing on that is that he's a free agent in 2030, so he's under club control till 2029. Let's go to the first of our insiders. Our good friend Joel Sherman is here. Joel, this is seismic. Just give me something quick. I know I heard you on Central before. Give me your overall thoughts on this major deal for San Diego.
Yeah, I thought Russell just made a good point about A.J. Preller's scouting acumen. Remember, he found a version of DeVries when he got Tatis Jr. for James Shields, right? Like, he knows what this looks like the other way and what the risk-reward is. But he also knows the Padres have never won a World Series, that this is the best period in the history of the Padres, both, for a sustained period, both on and off the field where they keep drawing large crowds. I would keep in mind that Miller is a controllable player beyond this year. The outfielders he's going for, Kwan, Duran, they're controllable players beyond this year. He's giving up farm system, but he's not giving up the near future. He's trying to extend this, and what A.J. is always looking for is difference makers and feeling that he can find the other stuff in the international market or in the draft. What he can't find is a closer who throws 104 and builds the kind of bullpen. The team that came the closest to beating the Dodgers in the postseason last year was the Padres. One of the reasons was they went out and got Jason Adam, and they went out and got Tanner Scott, and they had a tournament-level bullpen.
Right.
Well, they have that kind of bullpen again. If you're thinking about how do you get through the Dodgers, I think the Mets and the Padres are showing what they think about how you get in the playoffs. Both of those teams still have to get in, and then once you get in, what do you need the most to get through?
Right, to get through in tournament baseball, and the Padres had the Dodgers dead to rights, really. All right, Joel, how does this trade affect what the Padres do the rest of the day? Are they no longer in sell mode? I know can you refuel while you're in the air, or do they now say no? Now we have Miller. The accelerator is going to be put down to the floor.
Well, the one thing I think they clearly like is a left fielder. The A.J. has been obsessed with Jarren Duran and Stephen Kwan. Is the fallback position Luis Robert Jr.? Is the fallback to the fallback, if you can't get any of them, Ramon Laureano from Baltimore, just to improve there? The question is, does he use the rest of today to do that? And does he have enough to do it for a big guy, or does he get to the fallback? Or does he use Dylan Cease and Robert Suarez to kind of reorganize his money and go and get different types of players?
Joel, can I jump in? Like, if you've got Miller, don't you want Miller and Suarez? Like, isn't that kind of the dream?
Well, I would say this. If we had them all on truth serum here, A.J. Preller, Mike Schilt, et cetera, and we said, who's your best relief pitcher even before Miller today? I think they'd say Adrian Morejon. If we said, who's your second best relief pitcher? I think they'd say Jason Adam. I think that Suarez, while being the closer, think about your show over the years where we've been like, don't just look at the saves, look at who's dominating. And their setup guys dominate at a greater level than their closer. And those guys have control. Suarez controls his option years after this year, so he's very likely going to be a free agent at the end of the year. If they could, on one hand, maybe they want to play tournament baseball and keep Suarez through this and just take their best last chance with him. On the other, because they have such good other relief pitchers, can they use Suarez in a bullpen, in a market where people are dying for somebody? I mean, Robert Suarez might be their third or fourth best guy, but he'd be the first best guy on a lot of contenders right now. So the question is, he has something to do there. Dylan Cease isn't having, by far, anywhere near his best year, but he's still Dylan Cease in a marketplace where we have not seen anything even maybe approaching a number 3 starter move yet. Does that get him more chess pieces to play? I said on the previous show, the walk-in music for A.J. Preller should be the theme from Jaws. He's always lurking out there, ready to kind of pounce. That's how the other executives view him. And I think between now and 6 p.m., nothing changes.
A machine of evolution or something like that. I just watched Jaws not too long ago. Joel Sherman will be on throughout the day. All our programming here as we lead up to the trade deadline, all throughout the afternoon on MLB Network. Joel, thank you so much.
Okay, BK, anytime.
What do you think, Anthony? Don't you? I mean, it isn't the dream, like, even if Suarez isn't, he still gives a nice certainty at the end. I've always believed, have your closer be that guy. His ERA can be a little higher. He's not going to blow many games. Have your killers circling in high leverage.
I would love to have all those pieces come playoff time. I think Mike Shildt would love the same. I think when you think about going into the playoffs, you want to have and you want to make sure that you're capable of handling any matchup that comes your way. And you want to make no mistake, despite the fact that Mason Miller is a closer and is a high leverage elite closer, and Robert Suarez is the same, they do it in different ways. And so I think when you talk about how you're going to attack opposing hitters, you have to have a plethora of guys who get guys out in different ways, and that's how you attack in a postseason. So I don't think it necessarily says they're going to move Suarez. I understand the idea, replenish, see if you can get a bat, all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
But if you're going in with some of the best pitching in the game into the playoffs, you've got a really good shot.
And the secondary thing in all of this is the Las Vegas shortstop for the A's. It's such a good 18-year-old kid, plenty of time. You're playing in Sacramento. They already have, like, nice prospects, blue chippers all over, but this is the shortstop of the future. All right, the Mariners, meantime, making the big deal late last night to obtain Eugenio Suarez. He's a top 5 slugger. Russell, this year, I pointed this out, 6 years ago, he was also slugging .572. The 4 years in between, he's about a 110 OPS plus. Which guy do you think the Mariners are getting for the next 2 months?
Well, I think they're betting that they get the guy we've seen the better part of this year, and you add big-time slug, you add the #1 bat on this year's trade market in Eugenio Suarez to a group that we've been waiting for the Seattle Mariners to have some type of offense to pair with their starting pitching that, when they're right, is the best staff in all Major League Baseball. And it feels like the stars are aligning for them, where you bring in Josh Naylor, you bring in Eugenio Suarez, Randy Arozarena has been an all-star, Julio Rodriguez is doing the thing where he gets really hot in the second half. And now, in an American League that is wide open, the Seattle Mariners can honestly say, even though they don't even lead in their own division, we might have the best team overall, top to bottom, in the American League.
All right, interesting. Now, they only have one guy slugging .500, and that's Cal Raleigh. And he's slugging .600. But with the rest of the club, again, they're not even slugging .500, and Suarez is clearly in the mid-500s. They got 36, 38 home runs. But again, here are the numbers, Rick. I'm just looking at those 36 homers, whatever they're in the bank, right? You're not getting them. And there's 21 to 24 right in the middle. That's 4 years of slugging .436 with a low on base. Now, again, he's been there before. He looks kind of like a home run masher now, but not a. I'm torn. Can you tell? Because his defense also not top notch, but he slots in nicely as a power bat.
Precisely. Kudos to them for going out and addressing their biggest need in terms of needing some power production out of the corners. Getting Naylor, getting Suarez. It's exactly what a team with that kind of pitching needed to do, and they were aggressive. Hats off to them. Now, is there risk? Absolutely. Absolutely. Look, I traded for Cesar Hernandez at the trade deadline one year when we were going for it. He had 20 bombs. I think he finished the year with 21. So there certainly is a risk of regression to sort of that longer-term pattern of performance, but this is the right bet to make when you're in their situation.
Yeah, I don't want to get too cute. Again, sometimes we tend to overrate the home run hitter, especially, and this is basically all this guy does. But when you are doing that, it's good. When you're leading the league in homers or RBIs, it's not like it's not good. It is good. What do you think?
You need him to not be the swing and miss guy come the postseason. You need him to be the home run guy, right? That's what you're saying. To me, when I look at his stats and his career, I think of that 19-year, he was in Cincinnati. Great ballpark to hit in. This year, he's in Arizona. Great ballpark to hit in. Two of the best ballparks in all the league. So it does scare me a little bit going back to Seattle, knowing that those middle years, you pointed out, some of those were in Seattle. It's not a great place to hit. That said, they've got something going there right now. There's energy in that ballpark. There's energy with that team. And when you have that and you inject that team with even more, with Naylor and Suarez at the deadline, sometimes that can create a perfect storm. I saw it in 15 with Cespedes in New York, where everybody's level just kind of lifts, and all of a sudden that offense can be really dangerous.
You bring up a good point. I know Joel brought it up before, right? Just generating excitement in your city. Turning on the money machine, turning on the winning, getting the excitement, pushing for the championship, and not sweating, hey, what is the marginal cost and value that we're looking going ahead, and prospect value and all that. There's something to 45, 50,000 in the park every single night, and people are fired up. And you're pushing not just to get in the tournament, but be good enough to win a championship. That is the next level. As much as I like ruthless GMing, that is the idea. All right, coming up, other trades here first before we go. Shane Bieber, who has not pitched at all this year, but once again super elite before his injury, going to the Toronto Blue Jays. Michael Soroka, he went yesterday. Steven Matz as well. Paul Sewald, that was today, going to the Tigers, once a very good closer. Okay, Brian Hayes, who struggles offensively, but he's a tremendous glove, going to the Cincinnati Reds. That happened yesterday. Again, getting ready for the big moves in the Mason Miller deal